continue then with getting some reaction from the political parties on the back of the IEC outlining their plan for elections after receiving that order from the Constitutional Court indeed to go ahead with the elections. We know that the Constitutional Court did dismiss the IEC's application to postpone elections. Let's get a word from the DA, who've been quite vocal on the issue, and the spokesperson then joining us, Sivue Gwahube. A very good afternoon to you. Thanks so very much for being with us here on SABC News.
Good afternoon, Flo, and good afternoon to your viewers.
Just as a start, I mean, what are your thoughts then when it comes to, what the IEC outlined today as the way forward when it comes to elections? I know that the DA has been quite outspoken in terms of the issue of registration of candidate lists. I mean, some are of the view that gives an opportunity for the ANC, the ruling party, to rectify itself. What's the DA's official stance this afternoon then?
Flo, our view is this. I mean, we firstly welcome the fact that the IEC has made it clear that the registration weekend or where registration period will take place on the 18th and the 19th of September. We were always of the view that it's important to get as many South Africans as possible registered, because you'll remember that back in June or July, the registration weekend was postponed due to the spike in infections in COVID-19. However, we are disagreeing with the IEC's interpretation that the provision of a registration period allows for the timetable of the election to be amended insofar as it will now allow political parties for new registrations or registrations of candidates to be opened. Yeah. We're of the view that the Court has made it quite clear that the timetable should remain the same, but it should only be amended insofar as it's reasonably necessary to accommodate a registration period.
Sivue, what will you then be doing about this disagreeing, as you say it, of the IEC's interpretation? Can I then assume that you will then be approaching the courts in this way? Will this go the legal route?
Absolutely, because Flo, we're of the view that this is in direct contrast with what the court order has said, and we're of the view that this interpretation by the IEC is generous to the point where it will benefit some political parties that did not meet the deadline of the 23rd of August. And so as of today, we've met with our legal team to find out exactly what legal challenge we can have so that we can challenge the IEC's interpretation of the Concord's ruling.
Yeah, and I mean, it's really quite important to also highlight the fact that when it comes to the issue of elections going ahead this year, the DA had in any case all this time been wanting the elections to go ahead this year. So in certain ways you did get your way on Friday when the Constitutional Court dismissed the IEC's application to postpone elections. Did that not better things somehow for the DA? I'm asking on the back of the fact that you're saying, listen, with other things, we're still going the legal route.
Yes, look, I mean, we are absolutely thrilled by the outcome of the Court on Friday because, as you say, we have been quite vocal about the fact that we are of the view that the Constitution is clear about when an election should take place. And so we didn't support the postponement or the stretching out of the election period. And so we absolutely welcome that. And we also welcome the fact that the court was quite clear that it's also important to have a registration period. But what we don't agree with is how now the IEC has gone and taken has taken a step further and interpreted the court to be saying that in addition to the registration period, now you must open up the candidate submissions. We think that that is not what the court intended, and that the court intended to uphold the Constitution and allow voters to register.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for giving us your reaction then this afternoon. That's Sivue Gwahube of the DA talking to us about where the DA stands on the IEC's outlining really of their plans for the elections going forward. Let's get the PAC, Mr. Apapoe, on the line with us, joining us via Zoom. A very good afternoon to you, Mr. Poe. Thanks for being with us here on SABC News, sir.
Afternoon, and thanks to all the viewers. and the SABC for giving us this opportunity.
Yeah, Mr. Boy, let's then get the reaction of the PAC. But I'm very interested to know two things at this time. Your reaction to the Constitutional Court dismissing the IEC's application to postpone the elections, and then, of course, what we heard today, the IEC outlining their plans for the elections now that they are going forward on this year. In terms of also reopening of the candidate list, what are your reaction to those two set of circumstances, sir?
With regard to the first one, the electoral court order of Friday, the PAC would have loved that the election be held next year in February, so as to allow for free and fair elections, allowing political party to do the political campaigning the normal traditional way of doing it, understanding of course that there are changes due to COVID-19 and all related precautions that are taken regarding the epidemic. But however, we respect and accept the outcome of the Constitutional Court, and we have accepted that we will abide by it. With regard to the second one relating to the IEC decisions that were taken today, as the PAC, we welcome the decisions, particularly the reopening for political parties to register candidates. We as the PAC, we had a peculiar situation. We were unable to do an adequate registration of our candidates throughout the country. And we believe that this will give us an opportunity to do that. And we also believe that the interpretation of the court order by the IEC is correct, in that there is a leeway that the IEC has been given by the Constitutional Court, that they should do a reasonable necessary amendments to the election timetable, of which is exactly what the IEC has done.
All right.
Importantly, Flo, the election timelines and deadlines and everything that relates to the elections, they are interrelated, they are interconnected. You cannot separate one from the other.
Yeah.
For instance, you can't welcome certain parts or certain sections or provisions of the Constitutional Court order and reject others. I think it was in the wisdom of the Constitutional Court to make a holistic court order that covers all areas.
Yeah.
Now we see others now selectively choosing some sections of the order and leaving out others.
Yeah.
I don't think that is correct.
Tatepo, so you would not at this time question at all the credibility of the IEC. I mean, some of the other political parties have this afternoon expressed dissatisfaction and in fact on the back of it really putting into question the credibility of the IEC, and you're saying nope, the interpretation of the IEC was correct. Just confirmation on that, Tatepo.
Yes, definitely. The interpretation of Constitutional Court order by the IEC was correct. And similarly, the PAC had also received a similar advice around how we should interpret this Constitutional Court order. And this was also what we expressed in today's meeting of the IEC, together with the majority of other political parties. So as the PAC, we cannot falter IEC in having taken these decisions. We believe it is the correct decision that they took.
All right. Thank you very much for giving us the reaction then.